Okay, quick music disclaimer here. I do not own the rights to this music, which belongs to the rightful owner, who is the intoxicating mind of Dr. Frankenstein. So he made my intro and my outro, and I hope you guys enjoy. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube, and no copyright infringement is intended. Have a good day.
A clear choice of good versus evil, of right versus wrong.
Twisted Tales.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Shortly after 1 p.m. today, the Loche RCMP received a complaint of a person discharging a weapon in the community of Loche. As a result of the complaint, members attended to the Loche Community School at the Denon High School. Investigators immediately began searching for a suspect. And at 1:47 p.m., one male was taken into custody outside of the school and a firearm was secured. Initial information was that there were 5 deaths as a result of this tragedy. At this time, I can confirm that 4 individuals are deceased. I cannot release the identity of the victims as the investigation is ongoing. Thankfully, the lockdown has been lifted and children have been moved to a safe location within the community of Loche.
Welcome back to Twisted Tales, folks. Hope everybody had a good week here. I guess it just started back up today. It's Monday, but had a holiday and whatnot, so hope everybody got some time to relax, because sometimes the world doesn't allow that shit to happen, eh? So, just keep going, folks. So this next tale I'm going to present to you here, it's going to be a case about a school shooting a few years back in 2016, I believe. So this happened in a place called Loche, Saskatchewan, Canada. This was on January 22nd. Now, to me, school shootings shouldn't fucking be a thing, man. But it happens. Look at all the school shootings we had, within Canada, United States, even Mexico, South Africa. I don't know, Canadian gun laws are strict, but school shootings are still a thing. And usually common motivation for this shit is pretty much, take one fucking guess. It's fucking mental health. There's depression, there's bullying, even all that shit in some ways. There's oftentimes, most of the stuff can stem from, various forms of abuse or some kind of family dysfunction, suicidal thoughts, hey, I'll kill myself, but I'll take a couple people with me kind of thing, right? It's stupid, but mental health is a big thing. It could also be something as, little as, being rejected from a girl or something like that, right? And this time, this just happened to happen at a school here in Saskatchewan. Now, the guy who orchestrated all this, his name was Randon Dakota Fontaine. And when he started to do this, he was literally 2 weeks shy of his 18th birthday. So he was 17 years old at the time of the shootings. So teachers described him as a quiet student. He had no criminal record whatsoever or any history of violence. He was loved by his family. I guess they gave him a nickname or whatever. They called him Ears because he had large ears, right? Whatever, each to their own, right? Nicknames are nicknames. Sometimes they suck, but I'm not sure that had anything to play on the whole matter. He did smoke a little bit of pot here and there, play some video games and shit like that, like most of us do. Not a big deal. Usually just high school kids just smoke weed anyway, right? You have your people that smoke, you got your people that just go to class, and shit like that, right? So, smoking weed in high school is not a big fucking deal. And just so you guys know, and can be familiar with Loche, so Loche is a village in northwest Saskatchewan, located at the end of Highway 155. So in 2016, Loche had reached a population of 2,827 people. Now the school actually consists of 2 campuses. So one campus is Ducharme School, which is kindergarten to grade 6, and the other is Dean High School, grades 7 to 12. Now, the school enrollment is 900 students with, like, an awesome support staff. So there's, like, probably 110 people that work at the school. So, it's known as a public school. It was founded in 1941, and the principal is actually Stephen King. Nah, not the writer. He's actually just a guy named Stephen King, so I thought that was kind of cool to mention. Now, the majority of the students there are bilingual, and they speak both English and Denesalin, and that's like a Chippewan language. Simplified, it's just known as, like, Dene, and it's spoken by, like, the Chippewan people and whatnot of northwestern Canada. The language is mostly used in, like, Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba, and also the Northwest Territories. Now, there's over, like, 30,000 Chippewan people here that are, like, spread out in each of those regions. So, I mean, that's fucking awesome. So, there's different languages all over Canada, So, I was just trying to figure out kind of how to dive into this one here. Like, even though, like, I mentioned mental health being in the shitter, like, it is for, I assume, like, most people lately, like, I don't know, hell, like, even back then, like, when it happened in 2016, like, mental health awareness, it was a thing. But, like, not like it is today. Like, I think the world's a lot more fucked today, to be honest with you. Like, most people today can't deal with life, but we have to deal with life. That's just how it fucking goes. I don't know, just, a lot of folks don't talk about shit much. Like, they keep a lot of things to themselves. And kind of like this kid did, right? Like, he was quiet, whatnot. And people knew that there was, like, a couple things off with the lad. But sometimes, like, nobody looks closer to this shit. And eventually, crazy shit happens, like, if it's not looked into properly. Like, I don't know, just talk to someone if you're feeling off or whatever. Just don't keep your shit inside, folks. That's all I'm trying to get at here. So who was Randon here? Well, let's see what we got. Now, Randon, he had a few mental health issues. Now, this stemmed from fetal alcohol syndrome, right down to extremely low IQ. So, fetal alcohol syndrome occurs when alcohol is consumed during pregnancy. Now, if a mother gets on the sauce while pregnant, it can cause brain damage and other problems like growth in the child that's growing inside of her. Although this does vary from, like, child to child, defects caused from fetal alcohol syndrome, folks, they aren't reversible. So it's said that there's no set amount of alcohol that's known to be safe to be consumed during pregnancy. And just doing so just put your fucking kid at risk. So don't drink when you're pregnant. Don't be an idiot. And then, like, it can also mess up your kid's brain. Like, it can give it poor condition, poor balance, poor memory, attention troubles, poor judgment, hyperactivity, and changes in mood. And all of these were fucking stuff that Randon had. Like, it's all the fucking fun stuff, I guess. Like, the little remote town here, too. Like, it's bordered by Clearwater River Dene Nation. Now, the community here, like, it struggles with a high suicide rate, too. And there's cases of self-harm amongst this Aboriginal population. So, even with Randon, like, he wasn't the only kid that had some issues in this town. Let's just say that, I guess. Like, even, like, federal statistics, like, they dropped off some data here. This was about Saskatchewan having the highest rates of police-reported family violence amongst the provinces. Pretty much double the national rate, guys. Like, that's fucking crazy. So Randon's mental capacity growing up, like I said, it was a little off. And it seemed that he was functioning at, like, a very low level, which, in turn, could also have some impact on his decision-making. So Fontaine was actually adopted by his aunt shortly after his birth, and he grew up across the street from his grandparents and his cousins. Now, his cousins were Dane and Drayden. Now, his grandfather had always took him out hunting and fishing and shit, right? So everybody cared about the kid. It's not like nobody gave a shit about him or whatever. Like, everybody showed him love. And he was a very well-liked kid in the community, too. Like, just the choices that people make, I guess. a few months before this whole school shooting shit, Fontaine was starting the 10th grade for the third time. And there'd be times in the lunchroom when Fontaine would just bullshit with his friends, say weird shit like any other kid would. But this here, although it should have been kind of talked about, or maybe looked into, or somebody should have told somebody about it, but the conversation with Fontaine and his friends went like this. Quote, this was asked by Fontaine. He said, if you were told one day, or if someone came to the school and shot it up, and they told you it was me, would you believe it? And that friend, like I said, he didn't believe this was anything serious, so he never told anybody about it. And it was just kind of shrugged off. School continued on, the next few months, like normal, whatever. This, Fontaine would just lose himself in video games more so. He didn't give a shit about homework, anything like that. And this is something that maybe the family should have focused a little bit more on, helping him with his schoolwork or whatever, but on that time, he was already on his third time at grade 10, so I don't know, even though the family was very tight-knit or whatever, they just let him play a bunch of video games and shit. So the day, January 22nd, 2016. Now, Fontaine attended classes just as he normally would. He talked to other students and teachers, and he talked to teachers mostly just to talk about, how poor his grades were or whatever. Now, the lunch bell rang, and Fontaine headed home. Some people, some students go home to eat lunch, and some stay at school or whatever, right? So it just depends. So he finished up his lunch, then he grabbed a box of ammunition out of his bedroom, and he walked on over to his grandfather's house. Now, once he got into the house there, he went into Dane's room and grabbed a .22 caliber rifle and said, "Hey, Dane, come here." To which Dane did, and then he kind of came down the stairs. He seen Fontaine, and he answered, what are you doing, right? Because he ended up pointing the rifle at Dane here. And then he replied with, "Don't shoot me." And that plea was totally ignored, and Fontaine let off one shot and shot at Dane. Now, Dane had been shot in the back as he began to run back up the stairs to escape, and he ended up falling onto the kitchen floor. So he was lying there bleeding, crying for help, begging for his life. Fontaine had shot and killed him. Now, Dane was 17 years old, and he shot Dane 11 times. And I know it does seem a little excessive, but... So after he killed his cousin Dane, he went downstairs and grabbed a shotgun, and this would be the weapon that he would bring with him back to the school. Now, on his way out of his grandfather's house, he had the truck keys jingling in his hand. He was going to take the truck and drive back to school. It was then he saw his 13-year-old cousin Drayden running up towards him as he was getting in the truck. To which Fontaine told Drayden, "Hey, come back into the house with me." And there he shot him twice. Once in the face and once in the head. After he killed him, he hopped in the truck, and around this point, he sent a couple of text messages. This was, to a group chat of friends. So he stated, "I'm done with life," and a reply from one of the friends in that chat had asked him why. And to that, Fontaine responded, "I just killed 2 people, and I'm about to shoot up the school." And a little after 1 p.m., he drove the truck into the school parking lot. So he had the shotgun in his hand, he had ammo shoved in the pockets of his coat, and he began blasting at students in the school entrance. So, something this fucking horrific, it sends shivers right through you. People don't know what the hell's going on. Kids are running around, staff members are trying to get kids to safety. The staff members actually, grabbed kids, putting them in front of them, so, when they're running, so, their bodies would block the kids from being fucking shot or whatever. And good on the staff for, having the safety of the children at heart. That's awesome. Now, staff and students had ran and hidden classrooms, under desks, down the hallways, everything, trying to get away, hoping that Fontaine wouldn't find them. So there were about 150 students and teachers in the school that day. Now, you can just imagine the panic that set in such a short amount of time. Now, 3 shots had been fired as soon as he got into the main entrance. Now, there was some scatter shot that ended up getting a football player in the chest. He survived the whole ordeal there, but he can no longer play football anymore. And, I mean, that sucks. I mean, that was his passion, and Fontaine was the one that actually took that from him. But he was still alive, so, I mean, he's got that going. Good for him. And he shot a second student in the right arm and the chest area. There was a third student who got shot in the stomach and the left calf. Now, a teacher had made it to the office to call 911 and get police there like as quick as possible, right, to stop all this madness. Assistant principal. Now, she was the one that was in the hall there when the shooting had started. Her name was Phyllis Longobardi. Hope I said that right. Now, she told police after the fact that she thought that she was going to have to, like, break up a fight. She remembers, like, after she heard 2 blasts, that she saw the shotgun, and then seeing a teen take aim. So they, like, even locked eyes with one another for a second, like, before it all shook down, too. And then she was staring down the barrel of a shotgun. She says she thought of running, but, like, she stayed right there in the way so that she could give others that were behind her a chance to run. And the first shot had missed her when he took aim, but the second shot had hit her in the right forearm and her wrist. She ended up making it into the classroom, and she ended up locking the door. There were 6 other students in there with her as well, scared shitless. So she got on her cell phone and contacted police. Now, after this, Fontaine fired the shotgun at another student through a doorway, kind of like a glass window too, because she was hit with, like, broken glass. This was from the door windows, so this was kind of like from, like, scatter shot too. So scatter shot, like, this comes from, like, the shotgun ammo, and it's full of, like, little pellets, and they go in a wide range rather than focusing on, like, one specific target. It just blasts all over the place. So all the pellets and everything from the ammo ended up getting her. Now, Fontaine went back to the main office where that other teacher kind of dipped out to call the cops. So his name was Adam Wood. Now, he shot him in the stomach at close range. He fell to the floor, and then he shot him fatally a second time around. Now, after the office, Fontaine started checking doors and windows just to see, like, if he could see anybody in the classrooms. He was doing this as he was walking through the halls, kind of like stalking the students or whatever, right? And he blasted a shot into a classroom, and this hit a teacher sitting at the desk doing her paperwork. And that teacher went by the name of Charlene Klein. And there was another teacher there, like a teacher's aide. She kind of, like, rushed to her aid, and her name was Marie Janvier, and she was shot in the neck and the chest, and she actually died from those wounds. Now, Fontaine went back to, like, roaming the hallways. He spotted his next victim, a teacher, Christy Montgrand, and he shot her in the back while she was in the classroom. She survived the ordeal, mind you. He ended up going, like, after that, he went over to the school's common area, and he fired a shot into a school display case and blew it all to shit. Like, glass went everywhere or whatever. More so, like, maybe he was trying to do this, like, to scare people or whatever. And it was then that an RCMP constable had rolled in with his gun drawn at Fontaine. And this cop's name was Dustin Freeman. So Fontaine ran into a woman's washroom, and he had 1 shotgun shell left. So he's pretty much fucked. So he set the gun down and left it against the sink counter, and he left the washroom, and he told the officer that he was the shooter. So Fontaine had been arrested, and while he was being let out, handcuffed, he said to police, "Hey, you should check on the home of Drayden and Dane Fontaine." And that's a fucking whole ton of chaos there, folks. I mean, fucking pure terror. Like, that was all spread out by a lone shooter, but the cops now had him in custody. Like, just want to go back here a second here, too, and, like, tell you a couple things that kind of led up to this, mind you. Like, his mental state being all wonky. Like, he did some research before all this too, like before it all shook down, like internet searches and such. Like there was about 2 weeks before the shootings that Fontaine had searched information on his iPhone for info on some ammunition, and 3 days before the shooting, he took his phone to record a video of a .22 caliber rifle and shotgun laying on a bed. And the video link, it wasn't really long or anything like that, it was like 2 seconds. Now, the day before the shooting, he finished school like any other day, and he searched up school shootings in Canada. And later in the night, on an iPad search, he looked up, what does it feel like to kill someone? And on Reddit, he looked up, what does it feel like to take someone's life? And then, they just kind of went all out, getting more fucking specific with the searches. Like, he typed in, like, killing a family member. He looked up famicide and fratricide. And he looked those two terms up on Wikipedia. So, I'm just guessing here, like, the definition of, like, because I had no fucking clue. I guess famicide means, like, killing your whole family and then maybe yourself. Just had to go look that up here, yeah. But, so, like, famicide is, like, a type of murder or murder-suicide in which the individual kills multiple close family members in quick succession, and half of these cases, the killer actually kills himself lastly afterwards. Fratricide. Now, fratricide is defined as the killing of one's brother or sister. Now, it also can be a term that's used in like military context too. This refers to a service member killing a comrade. And then Fontaine ended up going to sleep that night. He woke up, and then he went out and committed the deed. And it was also like during his time, like even in class and stuff, like he used his cell phone to search up two names, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. These were the 1999 Columbine school shooters. And the shooting had ended up taking the lives of Dane and Drayden Fontaine, teachers Adam Wood, 35, and Marie Janvier, 21, and 7 others were injured. And Charlene Klein, although she survived the ordeal, but like a few years after all this, like her injuries from the shooting, like she struggled with her injuries, and from like that day onward, she had a bunch of complications from it, and she passed away there on May 17th of 2023. And God love her, like she's at rest now, she's no longer in pain, and she passed surrounded by family. Now the whole thing lasted from 1 p.m. to 1:47 p.m. And police now had one male in custody and the firearm seized. Now a kid from school described it like as chaos, like stating there were about 5 or 6 shots before he got outside the school. And there was a post to the school's Facebook page. This was made that the public stay away from the school until this was all handled properly from police. Now a lockdown was then set in place, and children had been moved to a safe location. So both schools, like they had like 900 some students. So I mean, that must have been hard to set up. And I'm pretty sure it was 900 students that I said between both schools I said earlier. So there was a medical helicopter that was sent down from Saskatchewan, and they were to help with the emergency aspect of it. So good for them. And the school's Facebook page, they had people from all over the world checking in on them online, like making comments and sending condolences and shit like that. And just, that's rightfully so, like this type of shit shouldn't happen, but it does in fact happen. And it's just such a senseless fucking stupid way for people to die. I mean, it shouldn't happen as much as it does, right? But end of fucking list on that. I mean, and everything we talked about here, like, this kid struggled in school, like, very noticeably too, like, by teachers and students. He was late constantly, like, he showed up for class, like, half the time. He found schoolwork confusing, like I mentioned, and, like, for people to not really see a ton of concerns for this kid, like, is beyond. Like, maybe they didn't have the full resources to help him. Some small towns don't, like I said, and, I mean, like, after everything, like, It was January 23rd that he was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, 7 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of unauthorized possession of a firearm. So 2 days later, he was arraigned in like a provincial court up in Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan. And he was remanded at a youth facility. So he appeared in court through like a lot of this shit, like over the months. And in October 2016, Fontaine pled guilty to 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 7 counts of attempted murder. On May 8th, 2018, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of parole for 10 years. So October 31st, 2019, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeals upheld his conviction and his adult sentence. So they tried him as an adult, or charged him as an adult, or whatever. Now, even all like the aftermath of all this shit, like it really played on people. Like Phyllis Longobardi, like she moved back to Nova Scotia and says she's still haunted by the whole thing. Like, and she hasn't returned to work in any schools because of all this. And like even that Klein lady that passed away, like she got shot in the face and she was pretty much blind in one eye from it and like totally visually impaired in the other. So pretty much blind in the other one too, but this led to other health problems, and like then her death, like it just lingered for all of the people involved in the shootings. And I couldn't even imagine like all the fucking pain that she had from like multiple pellets that were lodged throughout her body from the shooting. Like, I know this caused her years of pain. Like, she even had pellets like around her vocal cords. Now this gave her like voice issues, so she needed treatment for it. And she was actually scheduled for surgery the day that she died. So poor Miss Klein. It sucks. And the mother of Dane and Drayden, Alicia Fontaine, she said that Randon had called her 2 days after he killed her sons. I talked to him, she said. He was crying. I forgave him. And months after the shooting, Randon said that he never meant to kill Dane and Drayden, that they weren't part of the plan, he said. Now the RCMP officer then asked, what was the only thing you planned that day? And Fontaine replied with, go to the school and kill those fucking kids. That's a terrible response. Now 46 people were affected by this, and each of them submitted like victim impact statements in court. Several had described ongoing issues with PTSD, anxiety, depression, and others felt that they were robbed of their like feelings of safety. They had new fears of loud noises, and they were still coping with shit like grief and trauma, everything else from it. And I couldn't even imagine like how to deal with that shit either. And nobody really knows why Randon did what he did. He had no prior like record, like criminal record, anything like that. He just decided to shoot up the school, and then he fucking followed through with it. And when he was asked by police if he was looking for anyone specific at the school that day, he replied with, nobody. And he apologized for ruining lives. Like, he told those that he hurt that he didn't set out to harm them specifically. I didn't know you, but you were not a target. You just happened to be there at the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm sorry. And he said that to Jenny Monaghan, and she was shot in the thigh, the buttocks, and the arm. There's also like a couple psychiatrists that like had testified for the Crown and stuff. Now they mentioned that one of them mentioned that Randon does not have a psychosis and can't be conclusively diagnosed with any mental disorders. And another psychiatrist had talked about like his fetal alcohol syndrome, how that played a part in his brain functions. So he was all a little bit slower than everybody else. The psychiatrist had called the teen simple and impressionistic. She said his mind was played upon by videos that he watched online of school shootings, and then eventually it got into his head that he began to believe that he could actually pull this off. Now normally most people have like a moral fiber in them to prevent this, and Randon was not able to do that, she said. Even while he was at the youth facility that he was sent to early on, when the 1-year anniversary of the shootings was coming up, He asked a worker at the facility if he was going to buy him a gift for the anniversary. And Fontaine wasn't like, I don't know, he wasn't all there. But Fontaine wasn't the only kid in school who struggled. Like, he did have special problems, and these were identified early on in his life in, like, grade 1. But, I mean, like, nothing was really done. Like, could this have been prevented, possibly, if the right resources were there? I'm not sure. Like, maybe medication, something like that. I don't know. But it's just weird. Like, even during, like, Fontaine's time at court, when they read off, like, all the victim impact statements and shit, the judge recalls that Fontaine was, like, totally unaffected by this. And he was then sentenced as an adult. And I guess that's all I got for you guys. And, yeah, I mean, I'll be back with some more stuff here in a bit, so I hope everybody enjoys this case here. And it's just some stuff that happens around the world here and a couple towns over and shit, so just want to make it, like, more familiar for stuff that goes on. So anyway, I'm gonna pop off a little trailer here for one of my podcast friends, so this will be next up. And I'll be back here in a couple days. So thanks for tuning back into Twisted Tales, guys. You guys kick ass. Take her easy.
Ambulance is still there. Cops.
Grade 10 student Noel Desjardins Thomas was inside Loche's high school around 1 o'clock when he says he saw the gunman and he heard screaming.
After screaming, there was about 6-7 shots before I got outside. I believe that there was more shots by the time I did get out.
The Dene High School announced it was in lockdown. So was the nearby elementary school. Parents were told to stay away. Desjardins used his phone to record. He says both teachers and students were shot.
I was pretty close from that guy that was shooting. I ended up running and telling people to get out the doors, and then lots of people got out, but I was told that there was still people inside.
Shortly after 1 p.m. today,
Police say the shooter killed people at 2 locations. In all, they confirm 5 dead, 2 critically injured. This screen grab of a Facebook group chat may tell part of the story. Residents from Loche say it was the gunman's warning. I'm done with life. Just killed 2 people. About to shoot up the school. Then he names 2 of the victims before presumably moving on to the school. Loche is a remote community with few resources. The small RCMP detachment overwhelmed. In fact, the first person to confirm fatalities was the Prime Minister speaking from Switzerland.
This is every parent's worst nightmare, and all of us across this country's hearts are going out to the families and to the whole community.
Premier Brad Walz said, "Words cannot express my shock and sorrow at the horrific events today in Loche. My thoughts and prayers are with all the victims, their families and friends, and all the people of the community."
I'm Bryony.
And I'm Sam,
We have a true crime podcast called Trusting Evil,
in which we focus on crimes around domestic violence, child abductions,
murder cases, and much more.
We are straight talking,
But love a bit of banter.
and we do not shy away from the details that other podcasts might, so we are not for the faint of heart.
We want to get all the information to you and name and shame the monsters that carry out such heinous crimes.
You can find us on the majority of streaming platforms.
By searching Trusting Evil, and feel free to follow us on Facebook.
Twisted Tales.